So as far as finishing up the structural part of this project, we still need the louvered system for the roof. So if we take a look back at the project that I started, let me out here. Here's the louver system, and the my approach to tackling this louver system, since it has many repeating elements, was to deal with it as a sloped glazing surface. That way I can make a single element for it. So actually, if we clicked into that, well, actually, let me show you another way. So that whole shape is a surface, and if I go to the module element, you can see that this is just the infill of that. I can just tab through and select one of the single curtain panel elements. And if I double click into that, it'll take you into how it was created. So it's built up as a curtain panel, and that's a little bit screwy because it has a vertical orientation to it. So that causes a little bit of confusion at the start. So these louvers, though, are equally spaced. I didn't try to do an exact match. All I did was create 3, 4, 5 louvers in the system. And then I just took the last equal spacing and offset it so that the repeat would be even. So I'm assuming it's about 8 inches. So I set the offset for that and then took about half that distance. So we'll go ahead and make this in the project. And I'll start by, I'll close this one off. Well, no, I'll leave it open because we want to make some references to it. So let's go back to our project, which is steel frame project, and we'll go up to the top of steel, and we'll build a roof by footprint. Unclick the define slope, excuse me. And I have sloped glazing here, and I don't know if that'll show up on yours. And then we'll, I hope it does, and then we'll just draw a roof. All right, so now we have a glazing system, and if I click complete, it'll have a certain number of grid elements. And we won't concern ourselves with those right away because we're going to go off and make the panel that fits into this slope ceiling element. Let's look at this from a 3D view and see if we can see it indicated here. So now you can see this is the plane that we're going to panelize with curtain wall elements. So let's open up a new family that is a curtain wall panel. And not a pattern based, because that gives us, that's a little more sophisticated than what we're doing in this. We're just using a simple geometric or rectilinear panel system. So I'm going to open that, and right away I'll give it a name and save it into our folder. And we'll call this louver panel. And we need a couple of elements. We're looking at this from plan view, and I'm not exactly sure which way this will place the element on. So let's go ahead and make an extrusion. I'll make this, well, let's make it a foot deep, 4 inches wide. I don't know if we're on the center of this yet, and we'll align that in a minute. And I'll just click out to complete that. And we're in the plan view, so let's go to an exterior view of this so we can see that. And I'll zoom ZE, zoom extents, and we'll go ahead and parametrically link that to the grid system. And we'll go ahead and go to the left elevation. And what we'll do right away is we will create, I'm going to move this over to the other side. we're going to create a louver. And the way I did that was just another extrusion. So we're going to create an extrusion that's free-formed a little bit. So I'm going to zoom in here and create a shape like that. And then we'll just use the offset tool to get a thickness to it. And we'll make it an 1/8 inch thick. Whoops. And I'll zoom in because that's a relatively small amount. And then we just need to close that shape off. And we'll really need to zoom in for that. Catch those two endpoints. And we'll go to a view that will allow us to link that up. And we'll save that, and we're going to load it into the project right away. And we'll grab our surface, and we'll go ahead and edit that type. So we need a curtain panel, and we just imported that one, so that should show up here, and it does. Louver panel. And we've done nothing to set up our grid yet. So I'm just going to apply that right away so you can just see what's going on, because really we're looking at an idea of the orientation of this. And, well, we only have one element, so maybe I should modify the grid. Let me go ahead and modify the grid. Well, let's just say fixed spacing, fixed number, and we'll do this one a fixed number, and click OK on that. And then over here we can adjust the number of them, and we'll just say 4 times, well, let's make 20. Let's just try 20 to start with. Okay, so this the only thing that's going on here is really the roof plane is actually in the wrong direction. So let's see if I can change the way the slope ceiling faces. I'll zoom out here. I'm going to see if I get some kind of an indication about flipping that surface over. Let's try to go to an elevation. And maybe if I just hit spacebar, let's take a look at that. Nope. Well, instead of trying to figure that out, we can just reverse the way we've drawn it. So I'm going to tab into this until I can grab one of the elements. And we're going to go ahead and edit it. And we'll just build it up the other way around. So let's look at this. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to mirror it. And we're going to start making the copies of this. And I'm going to copy these down, but there's a problem that typically happens with this, and that is I'll make multiple copies. Whoops, just did a move command. I'm going to make multiple copies. Well, I didn't do that right. I used the mobile copy tool. But what this doesn't really matter because we just need to pull them out and then equally space them. Okay, so we have 5 louvers. Let's go to the exterior elevation again. And the problem here will be that these will not necessarily lock themselves automatically to the grid. So actually one of the quick ways to do this is I'm just pull this grid apart and we can kind of see what the behavior is. Okay, so we have, it looks like fine parametric behavior. So we're going to load it just back into the project. We haven't worried about the spacing yet, but we're just going to overwrite it just to see if we've corrected our 2 conditions. So now our panel's coming up and our louvers are appearing. The only problem is our beam does not appear to be behaving parametrically because it's not one element is not connected to the other. So let's go in and see what's up with that. And I don't know why we're not. Let's try it from the left elevation. Okay, I don't understand exactly why that's giving me a problem with linking that up. Let's see if I can do it. If I get, yeah, I get that one working to that reference plane, but for some reason I don't get it working to this exterior top reference plane. Well, there it is. I just had to zoom in enough. And let's go ahead and just load that back into the project and make sure we've corrected that situation. Okay, so now we have our element acting continuously, our beam. So one more round trip. And let's look at it from the interior view. So now we want to do some spacing of these elements. This one's actually close to the other one, so it's a little hard to see that it's a separate element. So I'm going to grab it and move it down a little bit. And I'll grab this one and move it down a little bit. And I want to make another reference line. And it looks like my louvers are larger than I did in the last project. Let me just take a look at what they are. They're like 1'2". So I'm going to make this offset 6 inches. Oops, excuse me, not 6 inches. 7 inches. So let me just... Oh, I've got to move that. I'll just move it up 2 inches. I thought I did. Let's try it again. All right, and we're going to lock this in. So now we have that reference. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a dimension, and we'll work from, let's work from the bottom of these. And we're going to make these all equal. And I don't know what constraint it's unhappy with right here. And I had this happen before. Let me go through and review which element I need to correct, and we'll pick up back on that on the next clip.